Well, hello, friends. My name is David Trotter. I'm the founder and publisher of Awaken Magazine, and I'm so excited to be here tonight with several authors who are contributing authors to Awakened Hearts. This is look at this. I'm backwards. Let me flip myself.
Uh-oh.
Boom. There you go. You got the right writing. This is the hard copy of our brand new book called Awaken Hearts, and it's stories of embracing light, love, and limitless possibilities. It just came out on Monday and #1 bestseller in 3 different categories on Amazon. And it's just a beautiful hardback, paperback, and Kindle version of the book. And the reason why we have published this book is because over the last year, by interviewing so many people on Awaken Magazine and just having so many great conversations, I have heard so many stories of awakening. And I began to dream about what would it look like to capture those stories in the form of chapters and place them in an anthology book to get it in the hands of women and men who are in that point of life kind of asking, is this all there is? Is there more to life than whatever I have experienced? Or how can I navigate this challenging, painful experience I'm going through to experience healing and wholeness? Or how do I navigate these intuitive experiences that I'm having? What does this mean to me? Those 3 things seem to come up oftentimes in stories of awakening. Is this all there is? I got challenges and pain, or I've got some sort of intuitive thing going on here. And so these stories, there are 32 powerful stories of awakening by 32 contributing authors. And each day over the course of launch week, we are talking to a number of those contributing authors. And today I'm honored to be with 4 incredible women. And so we've got with us today Shannon and Greta and Tiffany and Victoria. And so we want to take a few minutes as we begin this conversation, and we'll be talking about this concept of awakening. We'll talk about the writing process, what it was like for each one of them, their hopes for their chapter and the book. And I'll tell you a little bit more about the book each step of the way. I would also bring to your attention, if you want to pick up a copy of the book, ebook, paperback, or hardback, you can do so at awakenedheartsbook.com. Awakenedheartsbook.com will take you right to that page on Amazon. So I'd love to begin just by having you introduce yourself. Where are you from? Where do you live? How are you making a difference in the world? And that could be not only through your work as a conscious leader, healer, coach, but also perhaps you have another kind of full-time job where you're serving people in the world. We want to hear all about that. So, Greta, do you mind going first? Introduce yourself and tell us a little bit how you're serving the world.
Okay. Wow, I get to go first. Okay. Right now, I'm running a podcast called Shifting Impressions, and it's on the Transformation Network. And so I'm running that in order to teach creation of reality to people. So we do different subjects. This year we'll be going into our 5th year in September, and we're going to do a different format. And that format is that we're going to have guests with us. Prior to that, we've been doing I channel the realm of beings. So we spend 30 minutes talking about their quote. And then after that, we go into, we talk to them. And they get to speak on why they've given that quote for the day. So that's one thing we're doing. The other thing is that I do, I guess you would call it healing work. I call it facilitation work. So I work with people from various walks of life, various parts of the world. Sometimes depends on, we call them participants, because I recognize that I don't heal anybody. The person has to heal themselves. So, so I think, yeah. So with that, I have people that have Parkinson's disease, various cancers. Sometimes I work with people who are having schizophrenic challenges and so forth. So that's kind of what I do, David.
Thank you so much, Greta. It's great to have you with us tonight. Thank you.
Here and with my sisters here today as well.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Tiffany, would you mind sharing a little bit about yourself and how you're serving the world?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing us all together, and thank you for anyone tuning into our experience together virtually. I am the founder of Altruistic, which is a free collective meditation and intention app. And I am on a mission to build a global community. Right now, we are available in 23 countries. And Altruistic is a powerful tool to create your life through intention, meditation, mental rehearsal, visualization. It's also a really beautiful space to come together for another. So we have a lot of people that might be on a healing journey and they contact us or they create an experience into the app and we join our hearts and minds in seeing them already healed. We also come together for the global issues that are going about, from world peace to co-creating a more evolved future for all of humanity. So when I'm not doing that, because I'm a little bit overambitious, I have a second company and I'm really passionate about conscious tech. And so I have a global team and we build apps, websites, digital products for anybody that's doing good in the world.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Tiffany. Good to be with you. Shannon, tell us a little bit more about yourself and how you're serving the world.
Yeah, I'm a registered and accredited clinical hypnotherapist. So I work with clients both online and in person, and I utilize the science of neuroplasticity. I rewire people's brains and their nervous system. I also do a little bit of inner alchemy. So I help people transform their challenges and their fears and their issues into something more positive. I'm also a very creative person, as you can see. I'm also a music teacher, so I'm doing this tonight in my music studio because I had some sessions. I'm also a mystic in sneakers. I have a deep love for animals, and I'm also a pet loss bereavement counselor. Yeah.
Okay, there was something I want to make sure I caught there. I'm not sure I understood the language. You said a mystic in sneakers?
It's kind of a joke. I'm a mystic in sneakers. Like it's
in
actually
sneakers.
What did you think I said?
I thought you were like I thought you collected sneakers and you were like mystical about it or something.
No, it's just sort of a term. You know what I'm saying?
I got it. Okay, I'm a mystic in sneakers.
Sneakers.
I like it. Okay. I thought you're collecting sneakers. That's great. Well, it's good to have you with us. Victoria, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you are serving the world.
Hello, everyone who is listening and hear our group. I live in Chicago suburbs, but originally I'm from Moldova, which is Eastern Europe, in case the name doesn't ring the bell, which is okay. Actually, I am being with one foot in corporate job and one foot into this spirituality and healing energy field. I do love and I enjoy being in both worlds, which it allows and gives me more opportunity to be of service to more communities, not only one field. So I really enjoy being in both. I am a channeler. I do channel high vibrational beings, non-physical beings, which out of mutual respect, I call them star people. Also, I'm a mentor in soul evolution, intuitive healer. I am quantum hypnosis healing practitioner as well. I do have few certification as a medical assistant, certified and licensed nursing assistant, phlebotomist technician. So all this medical field certifications. Also, I am the founder of Infinity Triangle, and I've discovered and developed my own techniques, which I call body scan and healing, which was born out of my own natural ability to scan into a physical body. I can scan any organ. I can do into any neurons, brain, bones, like everything, absolutely everything in very detail. And also with help of my consciousness, I can readjust. I don't like to say sicknesses, I like to say densities. So I can adjust that with energy and my own consciousness. So I had results like it could be instant, it could be overnight, it could take like few weeks or months, which is not, it's not just by words. It is like real results before, like doctor's notes and results, and after my session. It's not me who does the healing. It is, I am just the room for them, for others to heal themselves, as Greta said, which I agree with you. We are not the healers. We are just that space that offers others. Also, I discovered a completely new field, which I called, not me, I received the name in the channeling, which I called mega quantic field. And I create my own mega quantic reading session, which it is, I will introduce for the first time into my upcoming book, which will be published in September. So that's something new for humankind. And and when anyone asks me like how I serve, what I do, it is the instant answer that comes into my mind. It is that I am everything and nothing at the same time. So I really adjust as how the other person needs to receive what they need. So
Wonderful. Thank you, Victoria. Yeah. And for those of you who don't know me, my passion and dedication is to amplify the voices of conscious leaders, healers, and coaches through high quality professional resources like our online magazine, Awaken Magazine, through the Awaken Hearts book, through upcoming events, and just trying to find all sorts of ways to get the word out about these incredible women and men that we get a chance to work with, conscious leaders, healers, and coaches. So, yeah. So tonight, before we dive into our first question, I want to bring to your attention this incredible hardback book. You'll notice that there's a 1 there because this is the first of many Awaken Hearts books in our series. We believe that everybody's got a story to tell, and that could be a story of awakening, healing, transformation. And I want to help tell your story. In this beautiful hardback book, you'll see on the inside of the dust jacket, the contributors' wonderful faces. And also, when you pick up this book, you'll find that inside, as you connect with a particular chapter, let's find one here real quick. Here's one from Michelle Hayes. You'll notice that they have their photo here, as well as their powerful story. And at the end of their story, at the end of their chapter, is a bio about them, as well as their website and social media, and a QR code where you can scan that and get in touch with them, because I want you to be able to contact them and say, wow, your story really impacted my life. My guess is you read this book, 32 stories, you're going to find a story, multiple stories that are going to be like a mirror of your own life, where you go, wow, I can so relate to this. And there will be inspiration and healing and transformation. And then you can reach out to that facilitator, that healer, that coach, and connect with them, even to receive their support and their encouragement as well. So tonight, I want to begin by asking the question for each one of you around this concept of awakened or awakening. Each one of us probably has a different perspective on what does it mean to be awakened. We call our magazine Awakened Magazine. I've used that term awakened for many years. I called Awaken Media, the company that put out all of my films when I was producing and directing important documentaries on important social issues. So I've loved that word. And when we started Awaken Magazine, I knew that had to be at the center of it. People often will ask, why was it called Awakened Magazine? And for one, it was just because that's what the website was available. Oftentimes when you're trying to create something, you got to find that website that's available. So, so what for you, Greta, does the term awakened mean? What does that mean? Awakened, awakening? Help us understand that from your perspective.
Well, it took me a while to be awakened, since I was a child, I always had what you would call psychic experiences. I could tell people what was getting ready to happen before it happened. I was already doing remote viewing, but as a child, I didn't know that. It was very frustrating for me when I tell people I was there and they try to convince me I wasn't, you know. So it took me a while. It took me until I met Dr. Irene Hickman, who's made her transition. She's no longer with us. She was an osteopathic medical doctor, and I was introduced to her in my 40s, but which took me into traveling remotely and doing it with purpose, with intention. So I learned that. So that was part of it. I was invited in my 30s, my late 30s, to sing at a church with Ernest Holmes, created the what is it, Science of Mind, and I sang there every week. I was hired to do that, so I'm listening to Vera, who was the minister of that particular church, and I listened to her every Sunday. And that, if people are familiar with Ernest Holmes' work, that's dealing with creation of reality. So that took me into that. So that was the beginning. I began to question my own experiences. Okay, so but then now let me flip-flop back to Dr. Irene Hickman. When Dr. Irene Hickman taught us, I was in a class with 20 other people, and she taught us how to go remote. And I'm always very curious about things, right? So I volunteered in our particular group to be the first one to go remote. And that was the most interesting experience I'd ever had, because I went there intentionally. Found myself standing in a hallway, and then I was told, go in the room. And then I went into the room of the person that I was going to facilitate for. And then I saw all these other things walking around in the room.
Wow.
I said, okay, because she taught us to deal with what you would call low vibrational beings,
Greta, how would you define the term awaken or awakening? How would you define that for people?
It's an opening of your mind. It's an opening of your mind to be able to see, but not see by way of your eyes, to see by way of your heart and your being, your inner being. That's an awakening. And knowing that what you're being awakened to is true.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. Shannon, how about yourself? What would you say in terms of your own definition of awaken or awakening?
Yeah, and Greta, I really loved what you said, especially about feeling frustrated as a young child. And that's one of the examples of how awakening can be frustrating sometimes, isn't it? Right? So there are ramifications at times. You know what I mean? Because not everyone has, like, some people are not completely happy once they have an awakening. In fact, it's disruptive, right? So they change their relationships. They have to change because they don't resonate as the same person anymore. But what's great about that disruption is it opens you up to a great higher place full of joy, right? And love. But in my case, I think that we have a body and we have a brain, and we know we're more than that. But at the same time, we do have a body and a brain and a nervous system. And all of that has to be tended to. All of that is sacred. So awakening for me, in my opinion, at this point of my journey, it's not just spiritual, it's deeply human. So it's tuning into your physical self and your spiritual self. We're all connected temporarily as humans and eternally as something more. That's my definition of awakening at this point and I go in and out. So I'm awake and I'm asleep. I'm awake, I'm asleep. I'm connected, I'm disconnected. That's a human pattern, So, but it also makes me good at what I do as a hypnotherapist, because I can go in and out, and just deal with the human stuff, the physical stuff that needs to be tended to as well. So that's my take on it.
Yeah, thanks, Shannon. I do think a lot of us kind of in this context think about it in more of that spiritual vein, but there can be this sense of awakening to our full identity. It could be awakening in our relationships in different ways. We had somebody a couple days ago talk about, like I got divorced, then I had this breakup, then I had this problem with the relationship, and it's like, who's the common denominator here? It's me, right? And then there's an awakening there to that reality. So I love how you're saying awakening can happen on so many different levels. Tiffany, how about for you? How would you define awakening or awakened?
I do agree with you, Shannon. It's not a destination. It's a journey. And for me, it's been a lifetime unfolding. And for me, my awakening experiences are returning to the true essence of who I am. It's if I took away my body, my circumstances, time, and I return to that truest essence, which is really a dissolving of illusion, a dissolving of the illusion that we're limited, a dissolving of limiting beliefs, a change in perspective, and an expansiveness. And for me, awakening is also a deeper connection to all of life, to each other, and mostly a deeper connection to myself and an understanding of life and myself. Greta, Ernest Holmes was a big influence in my life, so I can't imagine how amazing it would be to show up and hear his teachings all the time and be part of his singing. So thank you for sharing that. And so awakening, with Shannon that said it's a journey. For me, there are moments where I really feel that expansiveness and I carry that awakening through my everyday life. And there's moments where I personally do return to that humanness. And so it's a roller coaster and a journey. It's not a destination that I yet have permanently arrived to.
Yeah. I love that you share that, Tiffany, because, I'm a bit newer probably than all of you in this kind of spiritual realm. As you know, I was a Christian pastor for over a decade and spent probably a decade unpacking or deconstructing many of those things and kind of taking on different beliefs. And one of the things that's interesting in both, whether it's, I would probably say any religion and or spirituality, that there can be a sense that, oh, I got it figured out. I know, I don't know if people would say I've been awakened, but like, I know the right way to do X, Y, Z. I know the right perspective. And yet, as you say, Tiffany, there's this constant unfolding of, and I'm just so drawn to people who take a posture of humble, just being a learner, right? A lifelong learner, always learning, absorbing, taking things in. So yeah, thank you so much. Victoria, tell us from your perspective, what does it mean to experience an awakening or be awakened?
For me, the awakening is happening for all my life. I just never realized that before until it was the peak of my life. Awakening for me, it means seeing your own power within, like by looking inside of you. It's not outside of you. It's not in someone that is a guide or a guru or a teacher. They offer you the tools, but you are the one who needs to find the light within you, the power, and everything else, the love inside of you. So the awakening for me, it's everything about finding your own self, your own love, to fill your own cup of everything that you think that you have, you missing, and you're searching from outside, from others. But in real, by going inside, inward, that's how, for me, awakening in it means. And plus, it's realizing in this life that actually we are not only this version and only this life. It is our past, present, and future lives. It is our other timelines lives. This is our other version in other dimensions, multidimensional versions of us, which by just embracing all these different kinds of us, it just gives you to tap into that neutrality of finding, which is the key to any evolution, any soul evolution, on how to be awakened. So that's how I mean, what does it defines for me awakening or to be awakened.
You used that word neutrality just a moment ago.
Yes.
Help me understand a little bit more of your perspective on that. Why is that
All
important?
I found out that actually by tapping into neutrality, it does help much with all the frustration between bad and good, darkness and light, all these extremes. So by finding the middle, which is the neutrality, by holding all the versions of you, for example, human beings like us humans, we tend to criticize others by, I know this version of this person, but then in few years, this person is completely different, other, they've changed, right? So by accepting yourself that, hey, in the past you've been this way, you've been thinking this way, let's say not the best version of you, but in time, by working with yourself, you are finding that middle where you accept the bad version of you and the bad version of you. So by being in the middle, which I consider that finding the neutrality of both sides, of both extremes. So this actually helps us to be more awakened by accepting both sides.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Greta, I'm curious. I want to go back to your definition of awakening. You talked about opening the mind, right? Opening the mind to new. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'm trying to remember here exactly how you said it. New possibilities. How exactly did you say it? Opening the mind for.
I think opening the mind for understanding and receiving,
Okay.
because we all have special beings that walk with us. We don't walk this path alone, but sometimes we can shut off. To make it easier for the audience, I would use the word intuition. Intuition. You have a feeling about something.
So let me ask you this: if someone is watching, whether live or later on replay, and they're going, I don't know how to open my mind to what you're talking about. Like, how would you help me with kind of baby steps of doing that?
Some people come to me and ask me the same question you're asking me, basically. And what can I do, Greta? I usually start them reading, to be perfectly honest with you, because that was my journey. I was led to read. I had to read Alice Bailey, and I didn't read books that taught that we would consider now to be self-help books. I read books that taught me about existence, because that was my path. Existence. So I read Alice Bailey. I looked into Blavatsky. All of those people. I just read and read. I was an avid reader. I read J.J. Hertog's book, The Keys of Enoch. And I read that book for like 12 years, to be perfectly honest with you, just going over and over and over, just trying to understand, seeking the knowledge. And then when I became aware of the realm of beings, I know Alan Steinfeld asked me once, he said, well, where'd you learn that? And I said, I'm being taught by the realm of beings now. Everything. They'll tell me, no, Greta, we're going to think this way. This is it, And so I'm in a constant state of changing.
Yeah.
Like, people ask me to train them in the facilitation work. And one woman came to me, she said, well, how many months will it take? Can we do it in 3 months? I just said, my goodness. I told her, I said, no, this is a lifetime.
3 months. I love it. I love it.
Then I'm going to, walk away. And I know my sisters can attest to that as well. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Greta. I appreciate that. I want to hear a bit about the process of writing your chapter. What was that like for you? And then maybe even share with us just a little bit about your own writing process. When do you like to write? Where do you write? How does it flow for you? So, Tiffany, would you mind sharing first?
Sure. So I'm really grateful for the opportunity to contribute to this book and contribute a chapter, and grateful that the opportunity was presented from you, David, at the exact time, of course, like everything when I needed it, I believe the most. I've always been passionate about writing. It's one of my hobbies. I do it in my spare time. I love it. But what I found is I journal and I write a lot of content for my businesses, but somewhere along the way, I stopped telling stories. And I used to write stories for my friends. They loved them, they were entertained by them, and I didn't fully realize I had stopped. And aside from just sharing stories, I also realized I never share my story. And so this was an opportunity to step forward into my voice and to also be the witness of what was showing up for me. And so I was really surprised that in my sharing of my story, I was still a little bit holding myself back. I would write, and then I would say, this is going to be too much for people. I've had a lot of really mystical experiences. I've had a lot of really miraculous events in my life. And I thought, people are going to judge me. They're not going to understand. And so I really had to move through like we do in so many things in life. And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who might be contemplating being in book number 2 or sharing their story that might be able to relate to this. And they're thinking, I don't know that I want to put my voice out there. And I encourage anybody that hears me share this to absolutely put your voice forward, absolutely share your story, because we never know who might need our story at the time they're reading it. And this isn't a time, I believe, in history for us to be afraid of our voices. It's a time for us to be bold and be courageous. And so I did write and finish the story, and I do write, and I have moved back into story. So it was a beautiful catalyst back into something that I love. And I write in a whole different methodology of ways. So I don't have a writing routine. It's like a lot of my life, I love change. So I am most inspired in different environments and with different ways of going about it. I get a lot of my inspiration when I drive. So a lot of my writing will be voice recorded. Anything that I start in life, no matter what it is, I start with intention. Everything I do starts with intention and then meditation. And so when I first began to share my story, is sitting in that intention of what I felt most needed to be shared and heard through my story at this time, and then opening myself up to meditation to see what comes through, to see what messages are coming through, and then do a free writing as that comes through to me. And so that's really how my writing came about. And I'm just really so grateful to be able to share this experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your powerful story. Really appreciate it. So you said that I love that word, or that phrase that you said. You said, I'm a witness for what's coming up for me. That is such a powerful thing. And I don't think anybody's kind of quite use that term, but a lot of people have said that, like, wow, things are coming up for me. And I didn't realize, I don't want to put words in your mouth about this, but quite a few people that we've talked to go, I thought I had processed this and something's coming up that I had not processed. And this is an opportunity to kind of process it in order to share it. So thank you for your courage and in sharing your story. Shannon, I'd love to hear from you. What was your experience like on writing this chapter, and tell us a little bit about your own writing process?
So my writing process is very easy. I get in my car and I drive and I crank the 80s tunes and I get downloads from the 80s music. No, but I do actually. And then I usually, voice recorder, like, why didn't I think of that? Thanks for because so I pull over in a hurry and I jot it down, right? Much to the annoyance of certain people, because my little car can take up like 3 spots, upside down, parking sideways, diagonally, because I'm just in such a hurry to get that out. So, but this story was different. I can write anywhere, but this story was different because I never thought that I would ever write it. And I actually declared on social media months before that I was going to do this, before this opportunity showed up. Like, I put it out there. I'm like, hey guys, I'm about to share some really deep stuff and stories I've never told. And I was getting all these like, yeah, go. And then I did nothing, right? but then this opportunity came up, and it's like the universe and David Trotter work in mysterious ways, right? So yeah, but this story was a little different because I couldn't have told it a long time ago, but because I've done so much work on myself, I've changed the way the story lives in my heart and my mind. I've changed the darkness of the narrative. Do you know what I'm saying? So writing it, I was very present. It happened fairly quickly. But yeah, there was definitely some triggers that showed up, and that's bound to happen when you've lived a life with adversity. You know, everyone gets triggered. But I think it was a really healing experience too, because it showed me how far I've come and the reason why I'm doing what I'm doing right now to help other people, you know, change the way their stories live in their heart and in their minds, and change the way that they can step out into their authentic self very bravely, being seen as their whole self, so body, mind, and soul. And I loved what Greta said earlier about intuition. Because when you do awaken, even on the spiritual sense, you are going to become more intuitive. You're going to feel things so much more deeply. And I don't mean just the good things, right? You're going to show up to the world and show the things that still need healing. And there's a lot of strength in that. Ooh, I just got shivers saying that one. You're going to just, you know, you start to feel more in general in life. And yeah, I think that's pretty much the answer to that question.
Thank you, Shannon. And just so you guys know, chapter 18 here is Shannon's chapter, her wonderful photo, Streetwise and Soul Led from Surviving to Rewiring. You guys are going to love this chapter. So as I have mentioned, be sure to pick up the book at awakenedheartsbook.com. There's ebook, paperback, hardback. All of those options are there for you. Victoria, tell us about your writing process for your chapter, as well as just kind of how you write. What was this like for you?
First of all, I would like to thank you for this opportunity to create for all of us this incredible book. And thank you everyone that is in this book. And we all are doing a great job. And I'm so honored to be with all of you and be part of this. For me, the writing process, actually, I never dreamed of being an author. That's in the first place. Let's start this way. So the writing process for me was deeply emotional, like I was almost living it again. So in my chapter, I shared actually an exclusive personal story, which I never talked about it, and very few people knew of what I shared in the chapter. I wasn't sure if I should tell the whole story as it is, or just superficial. But in the end, I just took courage and I decided that, hey, I feel so much compassion towards me and compassion towards other people who went through similar situations or close, like, you know, exact. It's not really the point in here. The point it is that all of us have different situations in life, but the similar, it is the same, the feelings are the same. So the frequency of those feelings. It was really closing a painful chapter, and this was kind of a therapy by being vulnerable and to share that with more people and to encourage them to believe in them and never give up and just to go forward no matter what.
Yeah. And what about your own process of writing? Did you sit down and write it all in one sitting, or do you use the voice recorder or handwrite, or how
No, it was kind of in very few times I just sat and I just was writing that. Probably took me 2-3 times until I just covered the entire chapter. Because as I said, it was very emotional and the words were just flowing.
Beautiful, beautiful. What's so
Yeah.
interesting is when I hear, you know, so many of our authors say, I'm not sure I should share this, or this is going to be too much for people, or I've never shared this before. What's so fascinating, and this is not to negate the depth of the experience that you're sharing, but as a reader, I mean, I'm not like shocked. I'm not judgmental. I'm not feeling. It just creates connection and empathy. Vulnerability, if the person who's receiving the vulnerability is holding that in a place of love, and it just creates connection. It just creates so much connection and a deep love, like just like right. And oftentimes I'll read a chapter and I'll tell the person, I'll be, I just want to give you a hug, like just let me just hug you, and it is an expression of like, hey, you're good, we're together in this, you're loved, so. But it's so fascinating because I've had that experience too as a writer, where it's like, oh, I don't know if I should share this, but ironically it creates so much connection and empathy and love. So it's beautiful. Thank you for being courageous to share your story. We had one individual, I can share her name because she said it publicly. Dinah Simpson said, I almost backed out. I was writing it and I was like, almost quit. Like I just almost, and I was like, I would have showed up at your house and said, you are not quitting. You got to keep writing because we need your story. So Greta, tell us about your process of writing your chapter and kind of your own writing process in general.
You know what? It is so interesting. It's like Victoria said it as well. When you sent that, out to us to say, do you want to be a part of this book? I had to look and say, what am I going to talk about? And then I thought about African Violet, because that's how my story starts, about being an African violet. Well, that was a book that I've been trying to write for I'm 78 years old now. So I'm about, yes.
Now, I will tell you that if there's anything that's shocking about this video, it's about the fact that you're 78. That's shocking. I'll just tell you that.
Okay. But so when I came from Africa, I said I was going to write that book. And a friend of mine, she's an author as well, and she told me, she said, Greta, I've been waiting since about 30, 40 years for you to write this book. So you gave me the opportunity, David, to actually sit down and start that book. Even, it's a chapter. It's like Victoria said, I wasn't, you think about, okay, I'm going to do it. Because I've been telling her for years, I'm going to do it. And then finally I said, okay. When I responded to you, I said, okay, that's what I'm going to sit down and do. So this was just, this was absolutely a wonderful experience to start to get these parts of my life down on paper, and to read. It helped me to review my life. How did I go from point A to point B? Why did I do that? Why did I go through all of this? Because life wasn't easy, at least not for me. And I don't think it was. Listen to Tiffany and Victoria and John and speak. I know that all of us have the similarity of the fact that we went through challenges. And these challenges have helped us to grow and to be where we are at this point.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Greta's chapter is called Journey in Becoming an African Violet. And the first few sentences are these. An African violet can appear to be a delicate and fragile flower, which is in constant need of nurturance to survive. However, it represents an inner spiritual strength, which gives it the ability to withstand adverse and dire conditions, and to persevere until it reaches a state of balance and tranquility. In addition, as a mystical symbol, it represents courage, introspection, and transformation. Yeah, so cannot wait for you guys to read Greta's chapter. Thank you for sharing, Greta. Well, I would love to hear a bit about your own hopes for your chapter. What are your hopes as people read your chapter? What are your hopes for the book in general? Victoria, would you mind sharing? What are your hopes?
Of course. I really hope that Awakened Hearts will inspire you and it will give you strength when you feel there is nothing left or you don't have no motivation, no power within you to just move to the next day. For those of you who think that hope is gone in this reality, please just pause and know this, that the deeper the pain, the greater the power it is within you. Never give up, move forward, and if you need help, there is always, I'm here because I know how hard it is to move to the next day. I've experienced that. So if you need help, know that I'm here and know that you always guided, loved, protected, and creator, source, God, whatever you call it, will always help you and will send you the right people on your path, no matter what. Hard could be the life. I hug you. I'm sending so much love to everyone. And thank you so much.
Victoria, where can people follow you online and connect with you?
They can find me on Instagram. My page, Infinity Triangle Star, on Instagram. They can find me on Facebook, Victoria Basil. They can find me my Infinity Triangle Facebook page, and of course on my website, infinitytriangle.net.
Awesome. Thank you so much,
Thank
Victoria.
you.
Shannon, talk to us about what are your hopes for your chapter and for the book in general?
Well, my heart is in this, so I hope that it resonates with other people's hearts. And a lot of the time, books just land on my lap when I need them. You know, I think that probably happens to everyone. So I'm hoping that might happen for people. So people who need to know that they can, you know, being awakened looks different for different people. You know, sometimes we can be connected, sometimes we can be asleep. Even people who are really struggling or even thinking they're making horrible mistakes or not doing it right, you're doing just fine. And I've learned more from the people that are so-called unawake than I have from the most famous gurus. And everybody has that inner wisdom inside, and that can't be overlooked. We're part of something so much more, you know, and we're creators and co-creators. And so I would want them to know that if they're needing to heal, they can. They really, really can. And they're loved, they're resilient. And yeah, even if one person says, hey, I needed to hear that, then it's a mic drop for me.
I love that. Where can people connect with you and follow your work online, Shannon?
It's really easy. It's Shannon's Hypnotherapy. That's the name of my company. Shannon'sHypnotherapy.com is my website. Shannon Shade Hypnotherapy is my Instagram. But if you Google Shannon Shade Hypnotherapy, you'll find me all over the place, I'm sure.
I think you should check out the website URL mysticwithsneakers.com.
Wait
right.
a minute. What about your shirt? You haven't mentioned that yet.
I do have
Yeah.
my Awakened Hearts shirt on tonight. Yes.
Woohoo!
Yes, we do have shirts available and all sorts. I love this shirt. As I have
It is
mentioned,
cute.
my partner Mandy thinks it looks like a grandma shirt because it's got the flowers and the heart, but I love it. mysticwithsneakers.com.
I should look it up.
I just interviewed one of our contributors, John Klug, the other day, and he is traveling. He is a nomad, and so he's, you know, it sounds so bad to say he lives in his van because it's a really fancy van. And I told him channelingnomad.com would be amazing for him because he's a channelingnomad.com. He bought it. mysticwithsneakers.com.
If it's not taken.
All right. Thank you so much, Shannon. All right. Let's see here. Greta, I want to hear from you. What are your hopes for your chapter and for the book in general?
I think my hopes coincide with everybody that's here. And what Shannon said, and you know, Victoria, I mean, it's to inspire people to note that maybe you're going through the worst thing in your life. But the idea is that you are really resilient. See, resiliency is built into us. All we have to do is call it up, you know. And I think the book and all the chapters that are in it are giving that impetus for people to really know, hey, I can make it through this life. This happened to me, but doggone it, I can make it. So that's my thoughts on that.
Wonderful. Thank you, Greta. Where can people follow your work and connect with the podcast and also sign up for facilitation?
You can go on for the podcast. You can go on YouTube. We're on about 49 platforms, podcast platforms. We're on Spotify, iHeart. We're coming out of Transformation Network. You can go on there. The website that we're using right now is The Realm of Beings. And when you go on that website, you can learn about the podcasts and meet the other people that are on there with me and so forth like that. The facilitation work, I would say people would just need to text me at home, and I don't mind giving that number out. Okay, it's
Go for
not
it.
at the end of the chapter. It's 773-633-1069. Because most of the people that I take come by way of, they know I do this work. So they've been referred to me. Or when I go out to the expos, that they'll meet me and say, well, Greta, can you help me? You know, and we've done so much work dealing with, people come with almost anything. They just come with anything. And even as we've taken care of people who thought that they were being cursed, you know, all kinds of stuff like that, you know, so we deal with that. Yeah. Taking people out. Yeah.
Taking people out of what? Sorry, your audio broke up.
Oh, taking people out of portals. You know, we go into that reality because people don't realize that they're in there. You know, and you can be in there. I've taken out people that were in there since they were children. You know, so and how do you know you're in one? When you have a nightmare. If you've had a nightmare, you better believe you're in a portal. Yeah, but you think it's a dream, you see, but it's very far from being that. Yeah.
I think what's so fascinating, quite a few months back, and during the interview, I'm like, or maybe before the interview, I always, okay, well, what do you want to promote? What can I help you get out there? She's like, I don't mean the podcast. And I go, okay, but what do you like? What do you offer? What is your service? Well, I do this thing called facilitation. It's kind of healing. Okay, so do you have like a website, a landing page, like something to give away? No, they can just text me if they want. They just kind of text me. It's like, okay, this is so low pressure, mellow. And I'm like, you just got so many people coming your way because they need the help via text.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
So fun. Thank you for what you're doing in the world, Greta. Really appreciate it. Tiffany, tell us about what are your hopes for your chapter and the book in general?
So my intention for the book is there are 32 amazing voices, 32 incredible stories. And so I believe there's stories of healing, transformation, stories that will uplift, and so that these stories reach the people that most need to hear them and they become a light on their path. And my intention for my chapter is evidence of how powerful we are to shift, to create our lives, no matter where you are, no matter your circumstances. Your life can absolutely change in just a moment. And with that, my chapter is also evidence of our collective power and what we can do when we come together in group meditation, group intention, group co-creation. And in a world right now, I think it's so important for us to really connect back to our collective power and really to start coming together. And so my intention is that that evidence is provided, and it's a catalyst for more people to come together, and let's co-create a better world.
Thank you so much, Victoria. Or, I apologize, Tiffany.
It's okay.
I was reading I saw a private chat pop up, and I had Victoria in my mind because she had private chatted me there. And my apologies. Tiffany, talk to us about your app, Altruistic. Where can people find the app? Tell us about a website. This app is very powerful. I definitely want you guys to download it. So
Altruistic is ALLTRUEISTIC. All of us are collective, everything already being true, living as if, and istic, playing on the word altruism, altruistic. You can download it for free. It's available in 23 countries on the App Store and the Google Play Store. You can find more information at our website. We have an Instagram that's Altruistic App, and I have a personal Instagram that's Tiffany Churchill. So I am always loving to connect and hear from other people, and I'm really passionate about coming together and building a better world, or about anyone that is in a moment of suffering and they would like intentions held for them, meditations held for them. We have an incredible community that comes together all the time for each other.
thank you so much, Tiffany. Really appreciate your offering of your story. It's a very powerful story in the book. And I just wait for you all to read all of these incredible stories. And so just as an encouragement, once again, pick up the book. Here's the paperback version. And it is just a beautiful book. And our team has done a beautiful job laying it out, and great photos of all the facilitators, all the authors, I should say, inside the book. You can pick it up at awakenedheartsbook.com. And I would ask you, once you purchase the book, read some of the chapters. If you wouldn't mind leaving an Amazon review, that's an easy way for you to help us to spread the word. I think right now we've got about 42 or so reviews. My goal is to have, there's something interesting that happens in the human mind when we look at a particular resource, whether it's a product or a book, and we see there are reviews and read some of those reviews. It motivates us to pick up the book. And I will tell you, talk about eating reality, Greta. I know this is a big vision, but my inspiration for this book is the Chicken Soup for the Soul series. And that has impacted so many people, although it's kind of dated now. In the 90s, it was incredibly influential in inspiring people. And I just believe that so many people have stories of awakening that need to be told for the sake of their own transformation, for their own of their true identity, of people to read it and be inspired. I really see every story as a mirror, and people will read your story and they will see themselves in your story, be motivating, inspiring, encouraging, healing, transformative. And so I just am excited to get your stories out there as far and wide as possible. And for those of you who are listening and watching and you've got the book, to reach out to one of the authors or all of the authors that you enjoyed their chapters and tell them, thank you for sharing your story. Thank you so much for being courageous to share this. And they are here to serve you. Each one of them has a unique way, as you heard, of serving you. And they are so gifted, so talented, so full of heart, and just a desire to serve you and serve the world. And so, consider that. Scan that QR code, go to their website, see what they're all about, tell them how much you enjoyed the chapter, and reach out to them for support as well. So, all right. Shannon, Tiffany, Greta, Victoria, thank you guys for being here, sharing your heart. Just appreciate it so much. Yeah, it's just with you guys. And we will talk to you soon. All right?
Thank
You guys have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you.